When I walked away from that table, I didn't look back. Not because I didn't want to, but because I knew what looking back would do. The canteen had gone strangely quiet behind me. I felt it without seeing it. The subtle shift people make when something unexpected happens. When a narrative rearranges itself in real time. I didn't need to turn around to know his friends were staring at him now, measuring him differently, as though proximity to me had suddenly rewritten his worth. That part unsettled me. Attention had a way of distorting people. I'd watched it undeserving and crushed the gentle. Noah, I sensed, was neither built for spectacle nor armor. For weeks after that day, I didn't see him. At first, I didn't notice the absence. Lloyd Groups was massive. 10 floors of movement, glass corridors, mirrored elevators, endless faces. People disappeared all the time. But absence has a sound when it belongs to someone specific. He wasn't in the canteen, not in the corridors, not in the parking structure where people lingered longer than necessary. I told myself it didn't matter. And yet, lunch became quieter, shorter, less textured. It irritated me to realize that routine, my beloved refuge, had started to feel dull. Like a song played too many times without variation. I understood it eventually. He was avoiding me. Of course he was. A man like Noah wouldn't know what to do with attention he never asked for. He would calculate exits, reroute paths, shave seconds off his schedule just to remain invisible again. The thought made me smile. And then, if I'm being honest, it made me curious. Curiosity is a dangerous thing for a woman who knows she can control a room. I wondered how far his shyness went, how deep the restraint ran, whether it was fear or something gentler, something rooted. And I wondered, quietly, what it would feel like to disrupt it. So I changed my routine, not dramatically, just enough. Different lunch times, altered paths, lingering where I normally wouldn't. Watching reflections in glass walls, pretending not to look. It worked. I saw him a week later, walking toward the canteen with his friends. Too loud, too animated, orbiting him like noise he couldn't escape. I laughed under my breath. When he saw me, the color drained from his face so fast I almost felt bad. Almost. The bravado around him faltered. Voices trailed off. His friends sensed it before they understood it. They peeled away instinctively, disappearing with the same silence they had arrived with. I stopped directly in front of him. He froze. For a heartbeat, I considered walking past, letting him keep his dignity, letting the moment dissolve. But I didn't. I walked beside him instead. He didn't speak much. His hands shook when he did. His sentences tripped over themselves, collapsing halfway through. He kept apologizing for things that didn't need apology. And yet I felt safe. That startled me more than his silence ever could. There was no performance in him. No hunger, no hidden agenda. He wasn't trying to impress me, own me, impress others through me. He was simply there, present, earnest, unarmed. We ate together, spoke in fragments, sat longer than necessary. And something shifted. After that day, we fell into an undefined rhythm. Conversations without labels, friendship without declarations, proximity without promises. But I saw it in his eyes. The way he lingered on words he never said. The way his chest rose when I leaned closer. The way vulnerability etched itself into his face like a confession he couldn't bring himself to make. Love. Raw, unpracticed, terrifying. Men never hide it well. They burn visibly when it hits them. Women, on the other hand, we learn to mask, to delay, to observe, to control. And I did. I let him sit in it. Not because I hated him, but because part of me needed to know. How far could gentleness stretch before it broke? How much heat could devotion endure before it demanded a voice? I told myself it was harmless, that he could walk away anytime, but the truth was uglier. I liked being the calm in his chaos. I liked being the center he circled without touching. I liked knowing and not relieving the weight he carried for me. And that was the moment I crossed a line, because when you see someone burning and choose not to hand them water, you are no longer innocent. I saw it coming. Not the words. Noah never had words, but the weight of them. The way he walked me to the parking lot that evening, his steps uncertain, his shoulders drawn slightly inward, like a man rehearsing a confession he would never deliver. My face gave nothing away. I've mastered that skill. Blankness can be armor when worn correctly. Men mistake it for mystery. Women mistake it for strength. Either way, it keeps people guessing. He didn't say anything. Of course he didn't. And I didn't give him an opening. But later, much later, when I was alone in my Mercedes SUV, cruising home beneath the amber glow of streetlights, the silence replayed itself. I made sense of it then. Whatever lived in Noah's mind, weak or strong, fleeting or deep, it would die there, quietly, unspoken. Men like him don't know how to carry fire without burning themselves alive. His tongue would fail him when it mattered most. Passion had a way of exposing uselessness in men who didn't know how to claim space or make a move when opportunity presents itself. And whether I liked it or not, that failure stripped something essential away from him. Masculinity wasn't just muscle or presence. It was action, decision, the courage to approach. Men weren't born simply to exist. They were born to build, to raise families, to provide, to protect. And all of that began with a single step, choosing a woman and saying exactly how they feel to win her over. I shook my head for Noah's sake. So much strength in his frame, so much softness beneath it. And then, annoyingly, my mind betrayed me. What if he did? What if, somehow, Noah reached into himself and pulled out courage he didn't know he had? What if he asked me out? Clumsily, honestly. What would I say? The question unsettled me more than it should have. I exhaled sharply as I turned into my street. For years, the answer had always been easy. A clean no. A familiar emptiness. A vacuum that followed every man who tried and failed to interest me. But this time, that vacuum was no longer empty. The realization hit hard enough to make my hands tighten on the steering wheel. Panic rose, hot and unwelcome. My eyes burned. All this time, I thought I was enjoying the game, enjoying the control, enjoying how easy it was to intimidate him by simply being present, composed, unattainable. I hadn't known the joke was on me. I pulled to a stop at the tall stone gate leading into my estate and slumped back into the driver's seat. Tears gathered despite my resistance, glittering traitors in the dark. Life isn't a bitch, I thought bitterly. It's a whore, and you pay with your emotions. I had sworn never to need a man. Not after my parents, not after watching love rot into resentment, watching promises collapse into silence and rage. Men were unreliable, cruel, selfish. My mother used to say otherwise. She warned me not to let her story become my script, told me I had the power to write my own ending. I always shook my head. But now, that wall I'd built, carefully, deliberately, had cracked without my permission. And the worst part? Noah wasn't a wrong choice, which meant I was facing something far more terrifying than rejection. I was facing effort, preparation, the possibility of teaching a shy man how to look me in the eye and ask for what he wanted. Women could do that after all. I wiped my face and laughed softly, mocking him in his absence. We're both in trouble, I thought. I just didn't know how much.